Please welcome up the curator of Place Projectors, Miss Annalisa Barrett.
This is my first event after COVID.
A place projector is a site-specific, interactive sculpture which uses light, lenses, and community input to reflect the history of a particular location in place and time. In 2020, I was commissioned to create a place projector and 3 accompanying plays for the Spirit Room, a theater and craft cocktail bar located at 139 State Street in Rochester, New York. The projector and plays draw on the Spirit Room's celebration of Rochester's spiritualist history and its proximity to Corinthian Hall, the site of Margaretta and Katie Fox's first public seance. The Fox sisters communicated with the dead by interpreting a series of knocks, or raps. In a tell-all publicity stunt, the Fox sisters revealed that the raps were created by cracking their fingers and toes and by dropping an apple on a string. The projector features a wheel of hands joined pinky to pinky in the spiritualist custom, which spins at the pull of a chain, allowing toe silhouettes to hit a small apple-shaped knocker. The projected images are created by small bronze objects nestled into the projector, each memorializing one of the 3 plays performed at the opening night of the Spirit Room's Conjure Box Theater. The research process for a place projector begins with unearthing the history of the location. We have a vague idea that this building was constructed sometime in the 19th century, so we're researching the location to make sure we have accurate information before designing the projector. Today we're at the Carey Collection at RIT, which contains over 40,000 primary source documents. They've pulled some books for us, including one by architect Henry O'Reilly, which contains woodcut images of Rochester in 1838. We want to lift different elements from Rochester's aesthetic history to see if we can incorporate them into the projector. This building was built prior to the arrival of photography in the US, so we know we're not going to find any photographs from its first 25 years. The technique for depicting buildings at the time involved an artist going to the building, taking measurements, and making a drawing, which was then handed off to a wood engraver to be turned into a printing block. We are going to recreate that process to illustrate our plans for the place projector.
There we go, that's the happy medium.
We made wood engravings showing the wheel of hands, the toe knocker, and my assistant Sui Liu, who is a freshman at RIT, made one inspired by the Spirit Room's facade. I used his wood engraving to design part of the mounting bracket.
I grew up in New York City in an apartment building with cornices. I came to Rochester. I saw these cornices that I've seen my whole life, and I was comforted by them. The story behind these cornices was that it was created by immigrants. I come from an immigrant family myself, and I like to think about how we contribute to this country, what that means for the perspectives that I bring in. I really related personally to these immigrant designs because I thought about how over years they've influenced America, and it's part of America now. It's just beautiful to be alive and human and create things that will be observed in the future. It makes me excited to live my life and continue to leave little traces of myself throughout history.
Throughout this contradiction, and I know it's a contradiction, but I want to see what you go with it. So like a ghost, try to think about how your voice quality could be lofty yet deep.
Biological materials and tools we can no longer manipulate. That includes a voice box. Or we can use an energy surge to create a change in temperature or slightly move an object. This was like breathing life back into the creative process. This isn't like Shakespearean theater. This is fresh, this is bold, and the fact that it's not fully staged gives so much opportunity for the imagination to take over.
It's just so thrilling. Place Projectors has been different from other live performances I've done because of all of the different mediums that have come together. I felt like more of a community.
Normally, I research a building's history by tracing back deeds at the county clerk's office. However, this building is older than that system of record keeping, so today we're at the Rochester Public Library to meet with Brandon Fess, a special collections librarian in the History and Genealogy Division, to see if the library can give us any more information on when this building may have been built.
So, since we can't really trust our, essentially, clerical records for the building, one of the things we can look at is the architecture of the building to get some sense of the time when it was constructed. The two things that jump out at me are that it's built of brick, which is something that's very typical of, say, the mid-19th century and late 19th century in America, and that it has relatively small windows. The one thing this does say is that this building was probably built past the pioneer period. Pioneer Rochester is really the 1810s and 20s. So this is 1827. So this is actually before Andrews Street was bridged. You're looking right in this area. So here's Mumford Street, which is now Andrews. So in 1858, the city was just a little bit larger than its original 1834 boundaries. It was in 1874 that the city started gobbling up its neighbors. This was the first city atlas of Rochester. It was printed in 1875. What's interesting is we can see buildings. Andrews is right here,
Okay.
and when it was bridged, it joined Mumford Street.
Okay, so basically we are looking at this little wedge. The spirit room is, right in front of the street. So when we see a building that's right in front of the street, or a section, a plot that's right in front of the street, we know that that's right where our building is.
Yeah, we can see that by 1875, the building is definitely present.
This stretch of Rochester needs development. There's a lot of dead storefronts. Some of these apartments hadn't been occupied since there was gaslight in them. There was literal graffito in some of the rooms upstairs of this place that talked about when Lincoln was shot.
Strangely enough, we had been gathering things that had to do with spiritualism before we really understood our part in opening a space that was an homage to that history.
We wanted specifically to ground the place in real Rochester history. You could hit Corinthian Hall, where the Fox Sisters perform, with a rock from here, and the idea that we're still doing art in this city for this city. That's hugely important.
Constructing the projector itself requires a lot of different processes to make each element. We cast our bronze objects with Swift Custom Metal in Dansville, New York. We worked with Twisted Willow Fabrication to create pieces that required the precision of a CNC plasma table. Once we have all the individual pieces, they are forged, welded together, and finished in my metalworking studio in Rochester, New York.
Welcome to the Spirit Room. My name is Rachel McKibbins, and I'll be giving you the house rules. But before I get into those, I'd like to first thank all of you for being here. This is our first theatrical production, period, since opening the Conjure Box. And it is also the first production since reopening after quarantine. We believe in the importance of supporting artists while they're alive. I ask you to have a glorious time tonight. And if you don't like it, you can go to Applebee's.
spirit room is about and what the plays are tapping into. It's kind of spirit, ethereal, kind of otherworldly connection. It's really interesting to think about because of the lack of connection maybe due to the pandemic we've all felt.
I'm really grateful for the performances that you all gave in this space, and I think that this is going to sort of just help create like that lineage, and so that the space is still married very much to the spiritualist movement and the Fox sisters, and because really what mediumship was about was hope, was us still being able to communicate with our ancestors and with the people that we can no longer physically speak with.
Take nothing for granted.